Welcome to the second video in the series in which I go through this pile of unusual and weird gold. If you haven't seen the first one, I would suggest you go back and watch that. There's a little bit more of an introduction there. But effectively, we're going to be going through and we're going to be looking at odd pieces that are not necessarily gold. So I have my coffee, I have my gold, and let's get started. All right, let's just grab things here. I like these. These fobs are very cool to me. Now, this particular one is interesting for a couple of reasons, especially for our video. You can see, if you're looking closely right off, that, well, I've been opening oranges for my kids. That's the first thing you'll see. But the second thing is, you see that little, there's a little nick right there. And you can see that that nick goes through the gold and into the probably brass, looks like. So you can see that this loop right here is definitely gold fill. Let me, there we go. You can see that loop is definitely gold fill. So somebody had this and they checked to see if it was solid gold. You see this nick right here? You can see where somebody took a file and went right through the thick gold layer on the top into the brass. And that tells you right there, because you can see the brass underneath it, that this is not solid gold. So if you're looking at pictures of an object like this, and you see a nick like that, and somebody isn't selling it as solid gold, generally that means it's not solid gold. So you'll want to pay accordingly. Now, that said, again, like with the one in the first video, this little awesome little knight's head thing is actually solid gold. Now, not all of these are, but in this case, this particular one is, and I have had that tested. Also, with a piece like this, what you'll usually see if you were to disassemble this is that the little swords here are karat gold, and the little plaques that are put on are karat gold. So this particular piece is maybe not all solid gold, but there's a lot of gold in something like this. Now, how much gold? You wouldn't know until you refined it. And frankly, refining something like this seems like it would be a huge shame to me because, I mean, that thing is pretty awesome, especially with a little, I mean, how cool is that, right? Okay, let's continue. Let's just grab things. This piece right here, I feel like I looked up what D of P was at one point, but I forget now off the top of my head. But the reason this is in here is that this particular piece is old. You can definitely tell that by the catch. And it came up as very low carat, which could indicate that it's like a thick plate. But you can see where it's been engraved and it's not really going through to brass and it's too thin to be brass. So this is probably like an 8 carat piece, maybe 7 carat, which isn't high enough to be called gold legally. So that's why this type of thing wouldn't be stamped. But when it was made, they wanted it to stay shiny. So they actually used a lot more gold than you would in the case of like a plating situation. Let us continue. Okay, here we have too zoomed in, but no, I think we're good. Here we have a tie clip. And if we look at the tie clip itself, we'll see that that is marked as gold fill, 1/20th 12 karat. And then this little key, and the reason they call these a key is because it's in the shape of an old key for your watch. It used to be that watches wouldn't wind with the little crown or knob on it that was integral to the watch. You actually had another piece that you would plug into your pocket watch and then wind it. And that was a key, and that's what this shape is. This was like the piece that would be inserted into the watch and then wound up. Now, this shape, for some reason, somebody who's watching can probably tell me, persisted. And they are quite commonly used as pendants, especially in association with schools, which is what this one is. Now, if we flip this over here, we will see a couple things right off. See that upper corner? 110. That's indicating that this piece is gold fill. You see that little rivet there going through for this Quaker Oats looking dude? That Quaker Oats looking dude is 14 karat, and that is actual karat gold riveted to a piece of gold fill. So how much karat gold is there? Not an insignificant amount of karat gold, and a fairly good amount of gold fill. Now you can also see somebody looks like they, right here, you see how that's ground off? Looks like somebody in the past had a file on it just to make sure that that was in fact gold fill, and they filed through the gold so that they could expose the brass. Let us continue. That looks pretty good. Looks like it goes that way. Some form of school pin. And then we have some markings. This one is in here because it was indeterminate on the machine. Now, I would expect, having had a lot more experience with these since I obviously threw this one into my little basket here, that this one is probably gold fill. And I would most likely just toss this into the rest of my unknown quantity gold fill for the future. This is associated with the Freemasons, and this little cane, I believe it's a cane, and can't recall what the other two little balls are, but these are just teeny tiny little things. You can see here, this one is 10 karat. Yeah, I actually have a marking. Most of these I find are gold, I think because they're so itsy bitsy that they just couldn't even be bothered to make it out of anything other than gold. But that is a proper little 10 karat pin, which I think I'm going to pull out of this pile and put into the rest of my 10 karat stuff. I think it was only in here because it was so tiny. Let's set that aside, and we will keep grabbing. Let's grab this puppy here and see what we got. Aha! So these, you can see here, we're missing a seed pearl. And we're also looking at multiple different pieces. This DM right there is actually put onto another piece. If we flip it over here, we have a piece that I believe came up as low karat in the machine, and it got into this pile because I was unclear as to what the gold content was, but it was not fully 10 karat. It was probably something like 8 or 9 karat when we checked this particular one out. But this is also a good example of showing age. You can see where the seed pearls have gotten smashed and one is actually missing, despite them being staked in there. So that's a good example of just low karat and then mixed gold. Okay, here we have another piece. This one is definitely in here because it is low karat. You'll see on the back that there is no pin, but it's nice and shiny. However, it is definitely tarnished, and you will see that with these low karat pieces. A lot of these are 7 karat or 8 karat on the XRF machine. So they're gold, but there's not a lot of gold in them. I would never pay very much for one of these. They do look cool. This particular one is missing the pin. It broke off. But that's the type of thing you can pull out of a pin bin for $1 and be very happy because, hey, you got some gold. All right, we'll do one more piece here. and we will call it good for this video. These are interesting. I see these quite a lot, and a lot of these are gold fill or gold plate. So when you see these, know that some of them are gold. Some of them, like this one, are actually old. I think we've got some information on this one. Let's have a look. What do we have? Oregon State, 1929. This one has good indications that it's solid gold. You can see up at the top where the loop is worn. This has definitely been used as a pendant for a long time, as opposed to the pin. And that actually has worn through, but you can see it's not worn through to brass. So this isn't a gold fill piece, but it still did come up as low carat on the machine. That is to say, like 8 or below. One of the things that's nice about this one, and is something that you would be more drawn to, as opposed to a lot of these the modern ones that are gold plate or gold fill, is that whoever made it wasn't really the best jeweler. You can see here when they ground through that, when they didn't really get their lines quite straight whenever they were making this. And that's a good indication that something's old and handmade. If there are flaws in the production, those are generally the pieces you're going to want to pay more attention to. Anything that has flaws like that should be more enticing when you're looking through pin bins, because it's an indication that it was more than likely made out of some form of solid gold or silver, depending on what you're looking at, and not just something that was molded or plated. All right, we'll call it there so I can have some coffee. I hope you are having a great day.